Greetings and welcome to Stunthangar Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter and I'll be your host this evening. I want to extend to you my gratitude for you watching Stunthangar Video Hangouts. If you are watching this as a replay, I want you to know that I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please make a note of this so you can watch or be part of the live stream. Plus, we have an after party following the live stream, which is sometimes better than the live stream portion. You must be a registered Stunthangar Forum member to find the link to be part of the live stream and then the following after party. Here at Stunthangar Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes, sport flying, competition flying, and what you've been doing lately. To join our conversation, if you are already a member of Stunthangar Forum, you can find the link if you scroll down to the section called At the Bench. And momentarily, I'm going to post a link there with today's date. Now, if you're not a member, please register at stunthangar.com/SMF. That's Smart Men Flying. You must place a space between your real first and last name when you register. You must also use a valid email address or Sparky. The proprietor of Stunthangar will not approve you. Now, if you're inclined to not come in, just enjoy watching this on YouTube, wonderful, fantastic, please enter your questions or comments in the chat box and I'll do my best to make your comments or questions a part of the show. Now, understand, sometimes I can't get a word in myself, so be patient. And I will ask our illustrious panel your question or state your comments. Pardon me. Now, if you find the Stunthangar Video Hangouts or the many building videos that Sparky does on this platform informative and enjoyable, please give us a thumbs up, a like, subscribe, and share the videos. And comments help the analytics also. So please comment, but I'm not in Sparky's space, but tonight and Friday. So Mondays and Fridays, the only time I'm in here. So please go to my YouTube channel, Flying Control Line Stunt. All the letters are there, Flying Control Line Stunt. And I have a video of me flying at the U.S. Nationals. Just go ahead and use that to put your comments in, and I'll get an alert on my phone. Let me know you've commented, and I'll be able to respond to you much quicker that way. Now, please also consider joining Sparky's YouTube, the Stunthangar YouTube channel memberships, which start at just $4.99 a month, which is less than 17 cents a day. And your support helps offset some of the expenses of running Stunthangar. And with your memberships, you'll get special badges in the YouTube chat and unlimited replay of member-only videos. And once a month, Sparky has a question and answer show for members only. You can also use the super chat, which is located at the bottom of the chat box, to make donations. Now, from what I understand, you have to have a YouTube account, and you also have to do this during the live stream or live shows. The only time you can make this donation. So again, every Monday and Friday, 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Come on into the show, make your donation, please. And if it's more convenient for you to watch it another time, I totally understand, because those of you on the East Coast, we're up pretty late. I'm here in the West Coast, and so I usually knock it off at about 9 o'clock, but at midnight back there, if you have to go to work, it could be a challenge staying up talking about model airplanes. So please do that. Sparky and I would greatly appreciate it. And speaking about that, I want to thank you for your past, your present, and future support. You are making it happen. Please keep the conversations family room friendly. In other words, please don't use words or do things you wouldn't do around your children or grandchildren. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to post a link at the Stunthangar Forum website. And let me go there now. Let's see here. So just bear with me for a second. Okay, I'm looking at another monitor. I have two monitors. All right, the link is posted with today's date. It says Stunthangar Video Hangout, Monday, 8/30/2021. So go ahead and go there, click the link, and that should bring you right in. And let me see what's going on Stunthangar. I'm going to go to the control panel. That's what I call it anyways. Let me see who's in attendance there. I didn't mention this earlier, but when you subscribe, you want to hit the notification bell so that every time either Sparky or myself is on, you'll be notified. So hit the notification bell and select all. That way you'll know when we're streaming. Because Sparky streams different times of the day. Mostly, he almost streams every day. He doesn't do the evening on Monday and Friday as a courtesy to me, so we're not diluting our presentation. So let's see here. So I have, looks like 9 concurrent viewers. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We have 4 likes. So 5 of you out there, will you please hit the like button? That really does help the analytics. We want to get this program so that when people go to their YouTube account, it's one of the recommended videos that you'll see on the right hand. So that's why we need to keep the likes up, and also subscribe. That also helps, and donate. All those things help the analytics. I have no chat conversations right now, and let me see what's going on in the forum here. Change out. There we go. How about it? Hey, Ed, how are you, Ed? I'm not sure who came in first, but hi, Ed, and thanks for coming in. And John, thank you for coming in, John.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, Ed, starting with you, Ed, have you, I know you've been busy with housework and all that kind of stuff. Have you made any progress on any building or been flying or anything?
No flying. The housework slowed down a little bit. We were looking to do an inspection. We got that, so the housework's slowed down a little bit, which is, it started on actually I got a couple half-A projects on the bench. The weather hasn't been fit up here to fly. It's either been 100 degrees or it's been raining. So I got a Brodeck baby clown that I'm working on, and I'm working on a set of plans for I think it's a British design. It's called the Trojan. It's a half-A. It's like a trainer type, small trainer type, and I got a set of plans. So I don't know whether you guys know Dalton Hammond or not. He's in Albion, PA. He sends me plans all the time. And so I thought I'd, try something different this time. I usually build from kits, but I figured I'd try from plans this time. And some of my stuff's a little rusty, so it's coming. So I got the patterns made, and the biggest thing I'm having issues with right now is which lead outs to go with, where to go with a solid, because the wingspan, it's only got a 2-foot wingspan. Either go with solid or just stay with the small, braided cable.
Go ahead, John. I know you have a comment already. I saw you shaking your head.
I saw you shaking your head.
I'm sorry. I used to use solid.
I know there's a lot of guys that not like solid lead outs, So.
And once you bend them, they're always kinked.
Yeah.
Even if you get them straightened out, and if you bend them in the wrong place, they get involved with your lead out guides, and it can cause you some problems. So I always go with a cable. But what I really like, and you might want to find out more about it, is using Kevlar cordage, because Kevlar is immensely strong. It's very, very flexible, and you just can't break it or wear it out.
So where do you get the Kevlar?
You can get it from places where you pick up stuff for carbon fiber or fiberglass. Okay. They have Kevlar cord.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've got a couple websites bookmarked on a computer for the carbon fiber. So I'll check that out.
Yeah, check, see if they've got Kevlar cord for you. I've got a bunch of handles that I've made that have the adjustable. We used to have the cable in there, and the cables would break, and people got away from them because of that.
Yeah, I had a squall that had solids in it, and I bent it right at the tip. right where the lead out goes into the wing, and that was the end of that. So.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've replaced that on those. I'm replacing on those handles, the adjustable type handles like that. Replacing the cable with Kevlar, and it's like it's almost, I would say, just almost or just as good as a solid point handle.
Now, do you terminate the same way you do the cable?
No, the guy that can tell us more about it, because he's the guy that turned me on to it, is Trayan. When Trayan gets on here, we can ask him that question, because he was the one that showed it to us, and I liked it so much that I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'll check in. Maybe he'll be on tonight. So
yeah, he's usually on every night. So yeah, check with him. Hi, Denny.
Howdy.
Hey, Denny, thanks for coming in, and thanks, Brendan, for coming in. Appreciate it.
Hey.
I'm glad to see you guys. I had a really rough weekend. I'll talk about it a little bit later once we get more people in here.
Uh-oh.
But Mike Rigel has a comment on there. He says, "Hi there, Charles. I have a question about last week's show. Why would an electric motor need to run at such a high RPM as 40,000? I'm trying to learn more about electrics." And Mike Rigel, what happened was Bob had a question and Tryon just didn't understand the question. Bob's question was how fast kind of the governor, the switching of the I think the ESC was, and Tryon didn't understand. So Tryon said this is fast as 40,000 RPMs it can get up to. And that wasn't the question that Bob was asking. So that's not something that the control line guys, they don't use RPMs like 40,000. You're absolutely right. There's no sense for such a high RPM. It was just to go to how fast they are. And maybe Denny and
I will say I had a early electric experiment. So I was using a in-runner motor, was a little tiny motor, which doesn't have any torque with it. And the old story with the little electric motors and stuff, if you wanted to turn a big prop or something like that, you put a gear drive on it. So I had an airplane with a brushless in-runner motor with a 3.3 to 1 gear drive on it. I used to run it just under 10,000 RPM. So the motor was running over 30,000 RPM to generate I think it was running 9,500 prop RPM or something like that. Okay. So maybe in that context, I could see where high RPMs could go. And of course, the other thing is that if you had an extreme airplane, a speed airplane or something like that, just like a glow engine turning up over 30,000, or I know some of the half-bang combat planes turn up, in the high 20s at least. You want to go fast, RPM, there's no substitute for RPM. So
hey,
I don't know.
Hey, Denny, your audio is normally it's not that bad as it is right now. So I don't know.
It's lousy again? Yeah, geez.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm sorry that it's sounding bad.
All right, let me try making a few adjustments here.
Okay, great. And then so I think that answers that, I believe. And then Michael Joe goes on to say he was watching last week and he wasn't offended to what I said about no conversations amongst you guys out there in the chat box. He understands, and I appreciate that. And then Mark O'Reilly, he says, how can I access the Stunthangar store classifieds? Well, are you a member of Stunthangar, Mark O'Reilly? And then Mike Rigel commented, Denny, it goes, yeah, it's like hearing animals. I think that's great. I didn't think about that, but now you said that, Mike Rigel, it does kind of sound like that. So Mark, whenever you respond, we'll be able to continue on how to, but to answer your question, Mark, if you are a member of Stunthangar, you just would come on into stunthangar.com/SMF, I believe. And then you would just scroll down to the section called classifieds. Now the store, I'm not sure, is the store still up? I don't think the store is still up.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It,
the
it
store-
didn't, it didn't go over well. It, never received a big following.
Okay. Yeah, so but basically everything that's in the store, you can if you go into Stunthangar, there's usually a Oki control line, is that what it's called?
Here,
Oki Air banner. And that's how you can get everything that we had in the store. This is all through Tom Morris. And so if you go to Oki Air, you can get that stuff. Mark O'Reilly replies, yes, I am a member, but can't access it anymore. Oh, okay. Well, we had an issue several weeks ago. Sparky had moved from an old server to a new server. And, it's actually Stunthangar with the ER and a Stunthangar with an AR. He had to do all that work. But during the course of doing that, we all had to log in. And like, I don't know what the percent is, but almost everybody had forgotten their password because we haven't used it. So did you forget your password, Mark? And then I think we're all caught up. And Gary Sinclair is getting ready to come in. And hey, Gary.
Hi.
Denny, you have a comment or a question, Denny?
I was just waving at Gary.
All right,
Hi,
Gary's
guys.
and Bob Hunt is coming in. That's great. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, Bob, how are you doing?
Hey, hi guys.
And Gary,
What's
how are
up?
you doing? Gary, you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
Hey, Brendan, what are you working on? I see a yellow plane and another plane on the bench.
Yeah, Dick Heimhoff donated this to the beginner event, and this is a Spider, I believe. And so he had originally put a combustible engine on it, and I'm converting it over to electric. So
Very good. Looks nice.
yeah, he does incredible work. So
I
was
like
happy-
that icon on the wing. That's pretty cool. I like that. That's
Yeah, there's a drone there if you can't.
there we go. We all can see it. Oh,
There you go.
that is my sentiment exactly.
Yeah,
No, really, because where I fly at a public park, and I'm just very concerned when drones come over, and if there was an accident, they would just make it so there's no model aviation. They wouldn't discriminate. Everybody would be shut down, and so that's the reason for my that might offend some people, but I've been flying at my site for almost 7 years. It's been nice, and I would hate for something to ruin that. So they make me a little bit nervous.
Let me ask you something, Charles. You're
Yeah.
a model airplane. You're a model airplane flyer.
Yeah.
A hobby that's been around since the 20s. Are you really worried about offending people who fly drones?
Well, I guess that really was disingenuous, I guess. I guess I really am
Please.
not, honestly, but
Yeah.
I don't know what our audience is, but I just we don't want to lose my flying site due to a mishap. It's just there's so many places that have sign postings, no model airplanes, and it's a shame because so many of our servicemen that fly these jet planes and astronauts, their backgrounds are from flying model airplanes.
And we lost a flying site over, and this was back mid-70s, over one comment a person made, and it just kind of boiled over. Next thing we know, there's no flying. And
A
it was
comment, you said? Over a comment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I don't know if you want to turn into a griping session or not, but yeah, I've lost a flying site here or two.
Yeah. And it's, nowadays it doesn't take much, to set people.
Yeah, that's true. And Eddie Sutter is getting ready to come in, and let me see what's going on in the chat box. And Mike O'Reilly says, yes, I was a member, but can't access it anymore. And then he says, I can't remember my password, unfortunately. Join the club. We had a lot of people that are a member, and
but you can reset your password.
that's a suggestion. Yeah, reset your password. And And there's still some things that are available, even if you can't get into the site. There's just like at the bench won't show up. And there's some other things that won't show up, but there's still a lot that they're still able to view. Hopefully you figure that out, Mark, and get that straightened out. And Jack Snavely says, hello again, fellow hobbyists, just looking. And he has a emoji with eyes. So that's pretty cool. Thanks, Jack, for coming in. And thank you, Carl. I see you just came in, Carl. Hey, Carl, last week I changed your name. It came back. I changed it to Carl. And maybe because you have to change it. I mean, it's okay. It's just, I know our viewers know you're not Kathy, but you can change your name if you want.
Well, I'm computer illiterate, and my wife is the brain on all this computer stuff. So she helped me get on this program, and for some reason her name showed up, and I just decided to leave it so I wouldn't screw up what we accomplished.
No problem. I'll vouch for you that you're Carl if any questions arise. So, and hey, Mike, hey, thanks for coming in, Mike.
Yeah, except I lost my video. Hang on a minute. There I are.
Oh, I see you. I see everybody. So, anybody gone flying or anything lately?
Yeah, we were flying today, and last time I came in, I mentioned some video I had. So if you all got 3 minutes here, I was going to pop up a video.
Yeah, go ahead. I already fixed the sharing. So
okay.
You'll be able to share.
So do you see what looks like a field, flying field?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Change.
Let's see. So you're not seeing a flying field?
No.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not unless it's got a lot of pegboard in the background.
No, that's not that flying field.
Hey, Walter. Thanks for coming in, Walter.
You said it's sharing? Okay, let's see. What do you want to share? Desktop or application? No.
What?
Share desktop. Share entire screen. Okay, I'm getting there. I think I'm getting there. Can you see my computer now?
Something. Yeah, I see you're joining. There we go.
There you are.
Got it. Okay, that's Angstrom mid-flight, so it's about 2.5 minutes worth of video here. So
right,
remember we were talking about outside squares and him starting some outside squares. So I'll give a little lead into it. We were just going to be inverted and do the first 2 legs up and out. And he shocked me and just went for the whole shebang and won and made it. So then this is his next flight afterwards. And it's got some outside squares. And you get to see our flying field too. So here we go.
Here we go.
So now he's inverted.
All right. That was his first one?
No, that was just outside loops. Here comes his squares.
Those are the first outside squares he's done?
Good job, babe.
Very cool.
Sounds.
Just doing some 8s here.
Very cool.
He's getting a pretty good repertoire.
Wow.
Yeah, looked like he made his intersection.
That's what I was thinking, John.
What plane's he flying?
That I think was the Pathfinder.
Oh, no wonder.
No bias there.
I think on the next wing over, he terrifies me into a reverse, which I really haven't seen him do much of that. Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
I didn't see that coming. I think Morse, that's outside. I think he does outside squares on the next one.
Nice.
Good exit too.
All right. I'll cut it off there.
Oh, this is absolutely wonderful, Brendan. I love seeing young people taken to the hobby like that. That is exciting. We're gonna have a future.
I'd say shout out for the coach too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think the thing for me is I clearly remember I remember his first loops, like just trying to get there and, just all the work and energy it took to get there. And he got his first loops down and stuff. And then his fourth attempt at a loop, he crashed it. But hey, that was par for the course. But seeing him at a point where, again, we had him on the call and we're talking about doing those outside squares and coming from inverted and just kind of do the up and out just to get a little bit of feel for it. And, he just said in his mind, hey, you know what? I'm doing the whole shebang out there. And to see him with that confidence, or like I said, on that reverse wing over, or at least the first leg of it, we tried some of those maybe half a year ago. He just felt like doing it in the middle of that flight and pulled it out of nowhere. So I don't know. It's just great to see the confidence, feel the confidence. And he was telling me after flying today, he's like, "Yep, I'm ready. I'm ready for square eights, this weekend." So, I'm just glad to see the confidence and see where he's going with this.
Now, what plane did he fly before the Pathfinder? Because I haven't personally flown the Pathfinder, but I've heard nothing but praise about that plane. So do you think it had something to do with the Pathfinder as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that now we've got two planes in our repertoire now with kind of bigger motors, bigger flapped as well with the Pathfinder. The Giles is not flapped, but it's a big plane, and he's doing real sharp corners on with that. So I think just having some bigger planes in our repertoire is giving him some confidence to try to pull off some of this stuff.
Did you know that John Miller gets a royalty every time he mentions the name Pathfinder?
No, I did not know that.
What was Mason?
Yeah, I have to give it all to Gordy though.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Howard, thanks for coming in, Howard.
Yeah.
Well,
The
anyway, go ahead.
The other thing that you may not have noticed from our film, but what's really great about our property is that we live in the foothills of Pennsylvania, and that spot where we got the flying circle, it actually is sort of the ridge to a hill, and so on two sides of the hill, or two sides of that ridge, obviously it dips down. And then there's just a tiny climb on one side, and then a little bit of a drop on the third side. So really, three of the sides are down from where the flying circle is, with just a tiny climb on the rest of the ridge. And so the way the wind blows in our yard most of the time is with the steepest drop off. And so he does most of his stunts over in an area where it gives him another pretty decent amount of drop in case his lows get too low. So I can't tell you enough like how this property, it's really the only place we can fly, but using the physical layout of the property, I mean, it really has probably kept a couple of planes from, being bags of balsa. So, I can't say enough about, just how fortunate we've been at having the space layout like that.
Very good. Now, how long has Anstrom been flying?
Let's see. I think this is going into his third year, but that first year, I mean, was just me trying to figure out how do you get the plane in the air? How do you get things running or moving with it? So, Because actually we flew at a Brodac event, and then the next year he was flying again, but there were so many things we had done wrong that just trying to get him up in the air and getting a loop in was, a challenge. So yeah, he's really been probably going a good solid 2 years, I would say then.
Well, I am really impressed with his tenacity. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. Thing is obviously I spent so much time trying to get him in the air. I want to do exactly the same. So that's why I'm working on this Spider tonight. I told him I've claimed it. He's claimed almost every other plane we've got. But I told him, I said, hey, this one's mine. I think it's going to be a good flyer. I said, we got to get me some practice reps on something that's decent, and so I can play catch up a little bit.
Yeah. That's good.
Well, you could always take his Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Give the man $1. Give him $1. Get the $1.
Yeah, it's funny. I talk to him all the time about, hey, I'm the one that's in the shop, repairing this stuff or putting this stuff together and whatnot. And he doesn't seem to care. He lays claim to every single thing. So then we get out the field. I'm like, hey, well, can I fly this? No, what about flying that other thing? And, the other thing usually is the one that's all wonky and out of shape and, can't fly right.
He's going to be a champion someday.
Yeah, I mean, we're not a sports family or anything, but this is something that he's kind of glommed onto, and I don't know. I just truly appreciate those moments out there and all the just watching him, achieve on this stuff. Get out there and learn this hobby and excel. And I mean, I remember we were up, I think, in our first year of really flying. We went up to the Cleveland event, and I remember being out there in the circle with him doing the beginner stunt pattern. And we'd only known 3 or 4 of the maneuvers, and he got to outside circles, and I told him, I said, hey, just do your one. Well, he went and he just kept going with it. I'm like, no, and I'm sitting out there in the circle with him. He pulled off a triple outside loop. First time he'd ever done it, just right there in the middle of the competition. Again, just feeling that confidence and doing it. And by the end of the day, he was pulling off his first eights. So I don't know. It's been really amazing to watch him just grow and learn this. And I know those years they grow up fast. I'm sure a lot of you guys would say that. So I'm taking full advantage of every bit of this and being along for the ride that I can.
Well, you'll find that him being exposed to this hobby, the things he will learn and the people he will meet and what he will learn from other people. I mean, I can't tell you how many people in the Air Force pilots, Navy pilots, commercial pilots, space pilots, all of them, engineers. There are so many people in the aviation and other industries that got their start in model airplanes. So yeah,
on Facebook, I see a lot of people on there that get on the groups and say, hey, I'm getting back into it after 40 years, or I'm getting back into it after 50 years. They started out as kids and they never forgot it. Right. So, it's something that they, hey, I want to do this again, because they're always asking, with the new modern equipment about that and stuff like that. So it's like me. I mean, I started out when I was a kid. Everybody here started out when they was a kid, and it sticks with you. I've had a downtime for, I was down for 20 something years, started flying again with Mike Lonke. And then,
so he's the one you blame for all this, huh?
Yeah, he's, but actually my dad. But then
I mean, getting you started again.
Yeah,
I mean, getting you started again. Here you beat the habit, and he got you stuck again.
If it hadn't have been for my brother seeing that advertisement in the bargain browser that they were having a fly-in, I'd have never thought anybody around here. I'd have just thought it was a dead sport. because my stuff had been hanging in my dad's basement for 20 years. I got them out, dusted them off, got them started, and went out there and started flying with them and tried to do, my stunts. And the plane didn't want to play right, and I crashed it, and rebuilt it, crashed it, and rebuilt it. It's probably got more glue in it right now than it does balsa, but as a matter of fact, I just recovered the wings on it tonight. It's that old shoestring I got, the Fox 35 on it. But and it's been probably 7 years since I've flown. Again, like Charles says, life just gets in the way sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So, but I'm hoping right now the wife's done said no more. I've counted them with skeletons and kits. I've got 17 right now hanging up around and in boxes. So she said that's enough for right now. So
You'll learn how to hide them.
Yeah. You get better at hiding.
He sees the bank account, so that's the.
Yeah, I'm famous for my wife will call me. I'm right in the hobby store, right? I'm inside the hobby store. So the phone's ringing. I'm walking outside, and she goes, "Where are you?" Well, I'm in this parking lot over here by Walmart.
You're at the hobby shop. Mm-hmm. Sounds familiar, Charles. I'm laughing with you, not at you.
It's either
Guilty.
on eBay buying airplane stuff or looking at guns and ammo, and she's like, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "Because I want to." We're not getting nothing. Didn't say I was going to get anything. I can look.
Yeah.
I have a comment in the chat box. 1 second, John. Mark O'Reilly says, I tried to reset password, but get no reply. Like it goes to spam. Appreciate your help, guys. You know what I'd recommend, Mark O'Reilly, is hopefully you are a subscriber and you have all notifications on the bell. So whenever Sparky is doing a show, just go into the chat and just say, Sparky, I can't get in. And then Sparky has his computer there. He'll go in and he can reset your password. I think that'd be the quickest and best way. Just when you're watching his videos, I hope you are watching him, go in there and tell him, and then he'll fix it right then and there. Most likely, I think he will, unless the epoxy is getting ready to kick off, it might have to hang on. But
did he say he checked his spam folder? Because mine was going to my spam folder, is why I wasn't getting my notification for my password reset.
I don't know. He said it's like it goes to spam.
Yeah,
I don't
know.
That's
what I did. I just went to my spam folder and pulled it up and went through there and reset my password. And hey, here I am.
There you go, Mark. Check your spam folder. Or like I said, I think Sparky was probably on today. He's on almost every night, except for Monday and Friday nights, but he's on sometimes earlier. And hi, Phil. Thanks for coming in. And hey, Walter, are you smacking on popcorn like myself?
Charles, you made me hungry.
So is it popcorn you're eating? What is it you're eating?
Yeah, it's popcorn. Yeah, now I can't stop.
Hey, Phil.
Yes, sir.
Did you get
I got the package. I got the package.
That
5 cans. Tell me how much I owe you. I forgot. I got a good memory, but it's real short.
Yeah.
Just the paint. I got the postage.
The postage wound a little more than I thought it was going to be. So I told you 25, but it's closer to 30 with
okay. We'll just do that.
Hey, Tryon, thanks for coming in.
Not a problem. Hey, Tryon, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, Tryon. Hey, good to see you.
I have a general question whenever it's appropriate.
Right now.
Never.
When I was at the Nest, which was the first time ever, I was flying a 40, a Brodak 40. But everybody that was competing in the advanced, the open class were using larger planes and bigger engines. Is there a rationale for that?
Yeah.
Is it harder to compete on a smaller engine? And so if you're wanting to compete, if you're a younger person, you want to compete, should you be trying to use the 60 size engines and that sort instead of smaller?
We were talking to Bobby Hunt. We was talking to Bobby Hunt a few weeks ago on here, or I was talking to him. And he told me that he had never competed with anything bigger than a 51. And everybody thinks you got to have a 61. There's Bobby, 61, 65. And Bobby's done it all. There's no more for Bob to do. I mean, so you don't have to have the big motors. You don't have to have the big motors.
Bigger planes allow you easier to control the patterns?
Well, there's Bob. Yes. He's flown it all.
Well, I mean, there's going to be differences of opinion, Walt. I'm sure everybody here has their own feelings about it.
Mm-hmm.
But here's how I feel about it. I've always thought the smaller airplanes, I don't mean little airplanes, but something around 550 to 620. I like the way they fly better. And I wish we never did get to the big airplanes. However, I think one of the reasons we went to big airplanes is the venues. If you're flying a small airplane, let's say a nobler size airplane or something slightly larger, at a local field that's surrounded by trees, it looks in scale to the site. It doesn't look small. But when you get out on a big field, the little airplane almost looks like a half A compared to the 60 size airplanes that look like normal size airplanes. It kind of depends on the venue. I think the big airplanes at a field has a lot of trees and clutter around it, they look too big for the circle to me. That's just my opinion.
Are you suggesting the judges view it that way too, Bob? Or are they more objective?
It depends on the individual judge, I would imagine. As Ted says, Ted Fancher has a saying that I tend to agree with. He says, "Flyers fly and judges judge." And I can never figure out. Judges generally watch with a critical eye. Occasionally, they've been known to use both eyes, but not very much.
I try.
Oh, that's very good.
Well, I know you was talking about the size of the venue and all that. It reminds me of when I first went out with Mike and them. I had my shoestring. Of course, at that time, it's the biggest thing I've had, flew. And come out there and I set it down there and I looked over and saw that Strega. So I set mine beside that Strega and I'm like, damn, that thing's small. This thing's tiny compared to all these other big airplanes. But I thought a 42-inch wingspan was huge at the time. And I didn't know they made planes that big. I was like, how the crap do you hold on to something like that? And here you are, Charles, got what, an 81 in the Strega, and oh my God.
Bigger motor and big plane doesn't mean it has to pull a lot.
No, I just say it just looks like I'm thinking, of course, like I say, I've been out of the picture for 25 years. And all of a sudden I come in there and I'm like, good gosh, this thing's huge.
I can tell you this much, and this is personal again. This is just personal. I have more fun flying a 35 size airplane like my Caprice. I enjoyed flying that much more than the bigger airplanes, which is why I don't really build big airplanes anymore. I make my smaller airplanes look big by putting larger fuselage shapes on them. Like the Crossfire is only 630 square inches. It's not a very big airplane compared to what's on the field at the Nationals. And the Saturn was another one. It was only about 650 squares. Like Billy Rowage said, and I've said it here before, you build an airplane that's bigger than you are, sooner or later it's going to whoop you.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times what I've noticed, and I don't have anywhere near the credentials Bobby's got, but I bought into the idea of bigger airplanes years ago, and I bought SV11 and I bought Impacts and I bought a lot of the other stuff, and I built several of Bobby's airplanes, and I like the smaller airplanes myself. I mean, I won 2 contests here last 2 years that were offered, I won a contest that's pretty prestigious in this area, and did it with a Fox I didn't do it with a Fox 35. I did it with a Nobler with an FP 40 on it, and everybody's saying, why don't you have a 46 on that airplane? Because I don't feel like I need it. It's doing fine with a 40. It worked for me. I mean, I don't know.
Ain't broke, don't fix it.
I was very comfortable with that airplane, and it worked very well until I played stupid, and I had a prop strike on takeoff, and it was I went ahead and pulled up, thought it felt fine. I pulled up, and the whole way over the top, it was coming in at me a little bit at a time as it come down. So I went to pull it out, and I noticed there's a whole bunch of line that's laying down there between me and that airplane. It went in straight in, whap, destroyed the Nobler. The motor's downstairs on a Cavalier profile right now.
Is that a technical
still runs
term?
great?
Is that a technical term? Kawap?
Yep, it made a kawap. I couldn't understand it. It destroyed the spinner. It destroyed the airplane. We pulled the motor out, and I just knew it was destroyed. And I flipped it over, and I said, "Darn, that thing sounds like it's be fine." I put it on the Cavalier, and it flies great. I don't know.
I'm gonna let John in. He's next. John, go ahead, John.
Oh, thank you. I was trying to get this in. Working with Gordon on some of these designs, you may have noticed that Gordon's from the Tony, they started getting smaller again, and the reason for that was Gordon said the bigger planes, and I mean, don't forget he had two big twins, and they pull your arm off. And he said that the problem with these bigger airplanes is you cannot finesse them. You can't finesse them. They're pulling so hard. In some cases, with the condition that you're doing all you can to hang on to them, let alone finessing them through the pattern. And so he told me, let's go down to smaller sizes. That's why the little Pathfinder twin is so much smaller than his other twins, is because that plane, you can fly it. It doesn't pull your arm off. Does it, Howard? Nope. Yeah. You had to read lips, but yeah.
And the other thing is with a small airplane, they're generally shorter front to back too. And given that the corner radius, the big one, the little one, is more or less the same. The little airplane or shorter airplane will fly more of its own length, more times its own length in the leg of a square than a big airplane will, making the legs look longer and consequently squarer, because I believe it's the flats, not the corners, that make a maneuver look square. So the more time you can spend in the flat between corners, some of these big airplanes, like the Sweeper, it was like it would be in a constant turn almost to get into a square, to do a square. It's almost like by the time the nose got dead vertical, it was already having to turn to go horizontal again. It never flew much of its own length, or many times its own length, in the leg of a square. And I think that's important. That's one of the reasons I think the little airplanes just look like they fly more precisely when they're set up right. Of course, it's a generality. You can't say every little airplane is better or equivalent to every big airplane. Each airplane is different. But if I had to fly for my life someplace in a wind, I would pick the Caprice.
I agree with you on that, Bob. And I was going to get to that the smaller airplanes fit the pattern better than the bigger ones.
Yep.
And when they fit the pattern better, it doesn't look like you're being rushed through the pattern. Right. Your pattern appears more crisp, like you said. And I think you can actually fly a better pattern. Now, I don't know if the judges are going to give you that better pattern, but it's like you said, once you keep flying it, pretty soon they can't deny you,
That or computerized scoring, one of the two.
Hey, thanks for coming in, Steve. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, Steve.
I was at a contest this weekend. I saw big and small planes fly, and I was impressed with this profile smoothie. I really liked how it was flying. It was actually even being flown by I'm not sure what class it was in, maybe intermediate. But I saw some big planes out there. I saw some Stragas. I never seen so many Stragas at a contest. Really, I think there was like 3 or 4 Stregas there. Never seen that many.
Now we know what happened to all the balsa wood.
I know. Ain't that the truth?
So
Yeah,
anyways,
but it's,
I don't know about,
it's heavy balsa wood though.
There was a saying playing bigger score. I guess I heard. I don't know if that's true or not, but
oh Lord,
I was impressed with the profile smoothie personally, and there was some big planes out there, and they flew nice. But that profile smoothie, I was really impressed with it. So
yeah,
we got to get you on a Pathfinder, Charles.
Oh, I have one already. You know that, right? I have the ARC.
Oh, take
Give
it
him
out and
another
fly it.
dollar. He gets another dollar.
Yeah, I'm raking it in. You know.
Yeah, you walked me into that one, John. You guys, let me catch up on the chat box. We have a little bit of activity out there. Okay, all right. So Mike Rigel says Sparky wasn't on today. So Mark, not today, but I bet you Sparky will be on tomorrow night. And then Marcel LeGrand says, good evening, Charles and everyone. Good evening, Marcel. And then Mike Rigel says, I was wondering if you're flying a scale model, is there a pattern for that class?
No.
No.
It's kind of a routine.
You can do.
There's not a
You
separate.
can do different things.
There's
Like
not a
some of
separate
them will do
pattern.
loops.
Just hang on, just one person at a time. I'm not sure who started it, but Steve, go ahead and I'll have you finish, Steve, and then let John respond. Go ahead, Steve.
Different airplanes will do different things. I mean, and you let them know ahead of time what you're going to do and stuff like that. I mean, if you got a scale Mustang or whatever, you can get a loop out of it. But some of these other ones, you're not getting a loop, or, you know, they're scale and they're just not going to do it.
I think you have to clarify what he's asking. Is he asking that a scale stunt model has a special pattern or scale airplane?
Yeah, that's a point I was going to ask.
Just did. That's a good question. John, what was you going to say, John?
Well, I was going to ask the same thing Bob just reiterated too. The other thing though is that there is no special pattern for scale airplanes except for scale does takeoff, level flight, it does high and low flight, it does a loop, and there's some optional ones, and then there's always a landing. Okay.
And taxiing, I think too.
Yeah, and that is the pattern for scale. But semi-scale or semi-scale stunners can look awful scale. Look at Al Ravy's airplanes, and they'll fly the entire stunt pattern with real good precision.
Yeah, there's other things in the scale event, and you know, get in touch with somebody like Alan Goff who flies it. They can tell you all the specifics, but you also get points in scale event for different functions that the airplane does. Like if it's a bomber and it has a turrets rotate or open a bomb bay and drop the bomb on the judges, something we'd all like to do occasionally.
But on their heads.
Or a retractable landing gear and extended landing gear. There's also points for that, but there is a list of maneuvers from which they can choose and tell the judges ahead of time they're going to do. If it's a scale model of a aerobatic airplane in particular, you can then get points for doing aerobatics with it.
If you can get a control line scale airplane to do a roll, you would win.
Yeah.
I had to do a roll right before it hit.
Hey, Stephen, thanks for coming in. And you guys, we are at 16. So everybody, please be patient with each other to allow them to finish what they're going to say, because we're up to 16, and that's rare air for us. So that's great. Let me just go back to the chat box real quick. Marcel Legrand says, hi, John. Can you please tell me if the LA-15 is just as good as the OS-15 for the Pathfinder twin?
The OS-15 is a slightly stronger engine. And given the choice, I had LA-15s on mine, and mine didn't have quite the punch that Gordon's with the OS FPs in it. So that's, if I could get FPs, that's what I would get.
That, or if you don't have motors, the Brodak 15 is even more powerful than both of them.
Well, I was over on Macoa site the other day, and they've got, under their own brand, they've got, I think there's an 18, there's a 15, several that look good, and the specs seem good on it. But yeah.
Okay, we have two people. I saw Denny first, and then John, and then Bob Hunt, you're next. Go ahead, Denny, unless you was just swatting the fly.
I was, well, I was doing that too, but I was just going to ask John to clarify the engine OS 15s means anything from the black steel fin to the, the more modern S15. And then you did say FPs. Now, did Gordon use FP 15s and you had LAs?
Gordon used FPs and I used LAs.
Okay, that's a big distinction. But if you went back a generation to the, I would call it the S15 before the FP, I would think that would be a step down in power.
You're right.
Oh yeah, big power.
So, and they ran nice, but they weren't as strong. So
the FP is a little puny.
Yeah. So the FP sounds like the one that you really want, right?
Well, I thought the FP had more power than the LA.
Could
power.
be, but it's still a little puny. Using 20% nitro at sea level, it slows down going uphill. It works okay. But
so you would say perhaps look at a OS 20?
I don't know, something.
Or how about a Canby? How about a pair of Canby 18s?
I don't know.
LA 46.
I'm not familiar with those engines.
You guys, let me interrupt for a second. Bob, go ahead. I know you wanted to say something before we.
Just a quick note to John. John, just the brief aside. If you mention a Pathfinder twin, you get $2.
Oh, okay. Pathfinder twin.
Twin gets you $2 per mention. Just figured you want to know that.
No,
hey, John, my Pathfinder twinner is going to have electric motors on them.
Mine is too. But I've got a pair of Magnum 15s with the blue head. They had them on sale some years back. What the heck's that?
I was going to show you, like, how do you get a video up here?
Brendan, you want to tell him what you did earlier?
Yeah, I mean, I just went to the share box down there, but then it started giving me various options. So
let me see if I have it in here. Hold on a second.
Hit share. I think I went to desktop.
Yeah, you have to go to desktop.
Open whatever you want to share about first, your computer. Just open it on different window.
Yeah, but if I open it, it plays. That's the problem.
No, you can put it in standby so it's sitting there waiting.
Hit pause over there and then share the screen.
And by the way, Mike Rigel, he answered the question. He goes, just scale. You answered my question. So it was scale and you guys answered it. So thank you very much.
All right, hold on, RS.
My experience with the way the plane flies, it's like when I moved from a 40 size plane to a 60 size plane, the difference was massive in the way they flew, and I really like the way the bigger planes fly. Besides the bigger motor, usually they are friendlier, easier to tune, more consistent. That's my take on that.
Here you go. See if this will work.
All righty.
Is that working?
I think
gotta make it big.
All right, never mind.
Hang on, I'll.
That's working, Bob.
It was working, but it needed to be full screened.
How do we do that?
Make it full screen on your screen first.
All right, hold on a second.
I'm going to change it to speaker view. Probably should have pinned you, Bob.
Maybe if I.
Hey, Steven, I hear you can't sandbag anymore, man.
Hey, good. Thank you. I can't do that anymore.
can't get this to work. Sorry.
I hear it. I don't know why we don't.
Sure sounds
We
good.
saw it for a minute.
Yeah.
And a little thing with our pictures over it on my case.
That's all right.
Steve, it's been long overdue.
Well, we have a new expert pilot in the house. Stephen McBride, he won advance at the joust hosted by the Knights of the Round Circle. And you should have seen the smile on this guy's face. Boy, was he just beaming when he got the boot by Warren Walker. I mean, Warren Walker literally kicked him in the butt and gave him. So he's been booted up to expert. And
No more sandbagging.
That's awesome.
It's been long overdue, so I was very proud.
So you got to fly expert at your own contest now, huh?
Yep.
Ain't that us?
Yeah,
Stephen, I'm not sure if that's a good thing.
That's okay. I'm happy about it.
Out come the baseball bats.
You get to swim in the deep end of the pool with the big sharks now.
And they will swing.
That's
they will
becoming a
swing
bottom
and-
sucking scum sucker.
First place.
Hold on, let us pin you here a second.
Let me get you pinned here and hang on. I didn't. Let me go back and pin you. Hang on a second.
First place. Look at that.
Pin the first screen. There you go. Now you're pinned.
I still see Charles.
Advanced. You still see Charles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me
Say something, Steve. Hey,
This
Steve, did you,
was a
did you
great
get
accomplishment. This I was really looking forward to. And I
Get
was
my
really,
letter.
really pleased with all the results and everything that happened. I've been working really hard to make this achievement. And I feel that this is what the hobby's about, is to compete and to fulfill your achievements and make new goals for yourself and continue to strive to move forward doing that. And now I have new goals set for myself to achieve with new competitors. And I'm looking greatly to fulfill them and have a lot of fun doing that.
Wish you luck because you're out there with some big shoes.
I was gonna say I was watching on YouTube earlier, and I don't know if you pinned somebody, if YouTube then can see it. But when Brendan was showing the wing of that airplane, I was like, "Show the wing of the airplane." And then he go to pick it up and it's like, I like that. And as soon as the person said, I like that, it went back to that person and you couldn't see the wing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
I'm still trying to figure this
by the
out.
time he said something again, the airplane was down. Then he'd bring it back up and somebody say something about, I don't like drones or something. Charles said something, bang, it was back to Charles. I never did get to see the wing. Now I can, Brendan. It looks, I remember that plane.
Yeah, it's a Dick Heimhoff special, right
Yeah,
there.
If that's an electric drone, that could be dangerous.
Super spider.
Yeah. Lord have mercy. You guys are too many.
If I may, just to add to that, then the day before on Saturday was Classic Stunt, and I placed third.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Now, so who was above you in Classic, Stephen? I wasn't there, but who was above you in Classic?
Bob Harness won first. Anton, I don't know his last name, but
Gephardt.
Yeah, he won second, and he beat me by 8 points.
He's tough competition.
Yeah, he beat me by 8 points. Anton came in second. I came in third.
It's the hat. It's the hat that does it for Anton. It's the hat.
Yeah.
The hat,
It's the hat.
the mafia hat.
Yeah, that hat he wears. That's what does it for him. You
Steve,
take his
did
hat
you get
off.
my letter?
The hat
He
and the
can't
chicken
play if you take his
sneakers.
hat off.
Did you get my letter, Steve?
Yes, I did. I got your letter, and I have it in front of me. The only thing I don't have is what day are you coming? What day are you coming in? How many dates are you staying?
I'm coming in Thursday afternoon, late afternoon.
You're coming in on the 4th.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I needed to know so I could set that up. The 4th, and then you're leaving on the 8th.
Leaving on Sunday.
Okay, you leave it on the 7th. Okay. Just so I have that all set up. That's the only thing I needed to know from you, and I'll have everything there taken care of.
Super.
When is that contest? This weekend?
No, my contest that I'm having is November 4th.
Oh, okay.
Okay, no, it's November 6th and the 7th. I have the 5th as a reserve day for practice. And I have the rooms reserved actually for the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. But people did want to come in earlier on Thursday. So I have it arranged also so they can come in on Thursday and then practice on Friday all day. And then they have the contest for the 6th and the 7th. And then for a safe travel home, you have Monday to travel home.
Hey, I got it. I don't know if you can pin me, Charles.
I'll do that.
I kind of wanted to show Dennis this and get some ideas from
Thank you, John.
everybody.
Thank
You're
you.
pinned.
Thank you.
Oh, Dennis, there is all that bracing in there. You're right. Once I got the light and I finally could see in my reading glasses, I could see the stuff. But the problem I'm having is that you can see where the bell crank's at.
Mm-hmm.
So with the wing setting, you can kind of see where that used to set. I think I got my fingers right. I don't know. It's backwards to me. But it goes in the it was the center of the fuselage. Well, if I put on, it'll be this way. If I do the fuselage to clear the bell crank, which I can move the wing over, but now I'm not centered in the wing anymore, which I can fix that. But should I cut the wingtip off? Because now I'm longer on the outside wing than I am on the inside.
Well, that's a Vector, right?
Yeah.
I think the Vector doesn't the Vector have a longer outboard wing?
No, it has a half-inch shorter normally.
It's shorter.
Just put the landing gear on the opposite side of the airplane, and then you got it.
Yeah.
Steve, what I was getting at is that if the outboard wing if there's asymmetry in the wing, if you put the fuselage offset to the inboard side, then it's going to bring it back to more like an equal span. That's all.
Yeah, I measured it out, and it'll be once I move it over, it'll be like a quarter inch longer on the outside than on the inside.
You don't want that.
I don't think a quarter.
I mean, the equal span, it's okay. I think unequal, it's depending on who you're talking to, might be a little bit better. But I don't think you want an outboard wing to be more surface area than the inboard.
But
nobody's really gone there, but really, I think you fix it. If it is longer, you just put an extra like a tip weight in it. I don't think it's going to hurt a thing. Seriously. I think that the asymmetry editorial opinion, I build everything equal span because I've given up on asymmetrical wings. They always hinge. They always do weird shit. Weird stuff. Sorry. You got people like Al Ray used to be a proponent of using all the tip weight he could and everything like that. And I think there might have been something to that. You have extra flap, extra span on the outboard wing. You have more lift, but you have more drag too. The only place that it really shows up is when you're trying to do a maneuver. I would put it over as far as you could, see what you got. If it's a quarter inch, I wouldn't even blink. I don't know.
All right.
I mean, and then if you're worried about it, just offset it the other way and make it, an inch and a half longer or something like that. History has shown that you can go, 1 inch, 2 inch, longer on the inboard wing, and yeah, you can make it work. It'll do some funny hinging and stuff like that, but it won't really hurt the way it flies any. So.
Yeah, I wondered about that. To get it over far enough, I'd have basically 1.25 inches the other way, 1.25 inches longer on the inside.
Yeah, I don't know. I've already often toyed with the idea of building the All-American with a 3-inch offset, building it opposite, building it just like DeBolt did, only putting the lead outs on the other side and making up for it with tip weight. I honestly believe it would work, but I believe it would work, but I haven't committed that thought to balsa yet either. So, but that's just my feeling on the whole thing. So.
But,
I can see an awful lot of clouded stairs here and everything like that. And yeah, I believe it. But
I had a friend who had a trophy trainer, and he actually had everything inside the profile fuselage, the push rods, everything all inside there. So that'd be one way you can get it in the center. If you want the fuselage in the center, you can just have it all go
yeah,
through.
you can do that too. By the way, since we have our friend from the south here, the asymmetry in a Kiyosaki is outward wing longer, isn't it?
It sure is. It sure is.
Oh, no kidding.
It is. And also remember, well, okay, that's going to be electric. I was going to say in most profiles, the engine is on the outboard side of the fuselage, so the thrust line is offset to the outside of the fuselage. And I think that affects the total asymmetry also.
That was his whole
not just the
thinking.
position of the slab.
Yeah.
So
everything's
you're going to
over
make
half an
electric,
inch
it'll
off
probably
center,
be centered, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like it to last like 4 flights over the normal 3 flights for me when I fly new airplane.
Optimism.
Yeah.
All right, guys, hang on a second. Marcel Legrand said Sparky cut a slot in the fuse for the push rod. So that must be another solution. Just put a slot in there for the push rod. And Lynn Burnell is coming in. So now we are in even more rare air. We have 17 of us. So again, I want to encourage you guys to be patient with each other. Let each other finish their thought before we jump in. So we're not talking on or stepping on each other's words.
Okay. A lot of times I can't remember my thought all the way through.
Stepping on your own thoughts, I think that goes for a lot of us.
So if you wait till I complete my thought, it could be days.
All right. Well, hey, let me say welcome, Lynn. Thanks for coming in. And I think, Phil, you wanted to say something next, Phil. Is that right?
I was going to ask Denny something. We were talking about, Dennis found me a set of plans this week that I've been looking for the longest time. And John and I had talked, and he said to call this fella and see about getting in touch with him. And Dennis beat me to it. And I'm tickled to death that he did, because I had no idea how to get in touch with him. But anyway, Dennis, you mentioned something. You said, how about move the wing forward 1 inch in the fuselage? Well, I thought about that too. But being as it's going to be electric, you reckon it'll still balance?
Oh, absolutely. I think you'll
Okay.
still be all right. The quick look at the plan here. The plan shows a Fox 35 with a 1/2 inch extension on it.
Oh, heck, it'll be all right then. It'll be
Yeah,
all right.
you put it, take an outrunner, be lighter than the E-Fox, and put it all the way forward. And then you got that big old battery that, depending on how you set up the battery box, it's a heck of an equalizer as far as getting the CG.
Yeah.
I would not expect any trouble balancing it, with it.
Okay. It's going to be a Cobra 20, 26, 28, 28, 26, and a Castle Creations ESC and a Cuban timer. It's what came out of my Nobler.
The 2826 is probably bigger than it needs. I'd be surprised.
Oh, I think it is.
I think a 2820 will probably balance it better. But that's the other option, of course, when you're using electric, is that you can usually size up the motor. Gets a little longer, but to me, that's one of the best ways to balance an electric airplane is just go up, same class of motor, just go a little longer.
4-cell, Phil?
Yeah, 4-cell. I'm using everything I was using in my Blue Angel Nobler. It's just Blue Angel had a tick in it. I don't know what it was. I crashed it one time. I can't remember what happened, but anyway, we went to Huntersville and I pulled up and it just wouldn't, I couldn't get enough up in it. I was hanging it on the top on the upline, and I just couldn't get enough up in it to get around the circle. It got, when it went high, when it went up and went way up, I said, that ain't good. That's way over 45. And it came down, it liked about this much of clearing, and it slapped the cowling and banged up the cowling, and of course the motor tore loose. It was a rear mount that tore the motor loose. So I don't think I'll be using any more rear mount motors. They just too much. They tear up too much. But I just tired of fooling with that fiberglass cowl. I probably will rebuild the motor, the airplane, but with a ball balsa front end on it. And I'm not going to get in a hurry. It seems like I spent more time. I got thinking about it. I spend more time getting ARFs ready to fly than I do building a darn airplane. It makes no sense. But I counted up the time that I spent on building that Nobler, an ARF Nobler. Now I put the lead out guides in. I put a tip weight box in it, and I used different horns in it so I could make it do what I wanted it to do. It's just crazy. It's just crazy the amount of time you spend on an ARF. If you want to make it right, you can build a plane just about as quick and know that you got it right and build it a lot later.
Good point.
So,
I don't know. At the Nats, me and Samantha built an ARP on the tailgate of my pickup truck the night before she flew her first Nats.
Lord.
Now
You ain't right.
It took me 13 years to build my Nobler ARF.
It takes you 15 years to build anything.
It takes me that long if I have to paint it.
We did it the night before. I used 5-minute epoxy, and we had it all glued up and no time.
What was the plane? What was the plane?
Super Clown.
Oh, good grief!
But I mean, we had to glue in flaps and the whole thing, you know, set up everything. Yeah. But yeah, we did it by flashlight in the back of my pickup truck. I had the little light on the cab that shone back there, and then she held the telephone, and we built it back.
Good grief. Talk about doing it by candlelight. Good grief. Well, there used to be a fella that showed up at Hunter's. You leaving,
Bob?
Yeah, Bob.
Guys, it's getting late.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, thanks, Bob, for coming in.
Guys, I want to show you my locking system.
Yeah, Bob.
Well,
Good day, Bob.
Good to see you, Bobby. Always good to see you.
Thanks, guys.
So I have finished the design on the locking system. If you guys want to see it.
Ooh, I'd love to see it. Let me see if I can pin you. If that makes a difference. So
was it different than the other one you had?
There you go. You're pinned. I don't know what that will do, but you're pinned.
Okay, let me scooch this over. Somewhere it's out of the way. Thank you very much. Get out of the way. All right, so can you see this?
Yes.
Not yet. So, I got to change screens here.
So these are actually the first parts. This is what goes in a fuselage. And this guy, obviously you can slide it in and out to adjust the overall length, right? Yeah. That's kind of the idea behind it. So it's more universal. See that? Chink. You can go. And you can use any of these two screws in here. They have about 1/4 inch worth of adjustment.
Nice.
Which means this piece here, you can just this piece here can just trim it off to wherever, you know.
Yeah.
To accommodate for a different size. Okay. So these are the two pieces together, right? Now this notch over here, you see it?
Bell crank.
This notch is for the 1/8 inch rod for your bell crank. So the bell crank will go inside this notch here, and with a screw that screws through these threads here, you just lock it in. So just put the screw on top, one on the bottom, done deal. It's finished, right? All right. All right. So let's see. which way we want to go. Let's see. Here's the lock pin. Okay.
Right.
So this guy is good. So by screw it in and out, you know, just gonna, you can adjust where this guy is gonna fit in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and let's do a presentation on let's do. I'm gonna turn this off. So this is the lock block, okay? Kind of like that, okay? And you guys tell me if you don't see it well or whatever, you know.
All right, looks great.
So
Looks great to me.
so this guy here, you see that?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
locks, opens.
One more time.
Oh, you redesigned it.
Yeah.
One more time. Trying.
It
Okay.
opens
Wow.
the width.
It works.
It changes the width.
See that? Wow, it's
Oh,
neat.
Now that locks into the, that goes into the lock pin and locks it in place.
Yep.
It was a cam lock.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is the open position. So now the pin goes through, right? And
Yeah.
and if you can see, it has like a little detent here. You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a ball on the opposite side with which is spring load is gonna hold it in position, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's either locked or open. And if you go in the opposite direction, if I can get it to do that, there you go. Now it's open. So this is
That's not just a marvel of design. I'm amazed at your computer skills.
What?
Wow.
What's that U on top for?
The spar.
This is
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
more, you know, you can put like a piece of Kevlar in here. The sheeting is gonna go top of it. You can put a piece of Kevlar in here, tie it in on your spar. You know, whatever, you know. For me, what I was thinking to do is just put some carbon fiber in here when I glue it inside the wing, and the carbon fiber is gonna tie into the spar itself. So it's gonna be nice and rigid. Now,
That is neat, Tran.
what is not represented here, you guys see this hole in the side,
Mm-hmm.
this one here
Yeah.
is this hole here, and I'm gonna give me a second. So there's a hole over there, right, in this block. So what's gonna go in here is gonna be a spring with a ball nose, with a little ball on the other side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the spring is going to load the ball. The ball is always going to be, has a detent, but had pressure in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when the lock is in there, you can just have the lock kind of see on this detent is the ball is going to lock it in here. So
it's locked
in other
open
words,
or
this
locked
guy
closed.
is not going to slide out. It's going to stay in position whether it's locked or open. And
That's just neat.
kind of the general idea. So
That is really neat.
So I think this, and if you look at it, this is very, it's a very compact system. This is just a 3/16 diameter. So, and from end to end, it's probably less than half an inch.
Oh, wow.
So this part is about as big as your, you know, maybe your first section of your thumb, if that. This is very compact, very small. Footprint very light. You can do that. So
It's pretty cool.
and you can see the lock pin in here. So the lock pin is gonna go boom. It just goes inside, and this guy is gonna lock. Dink. Just lock it in like that, and so now the pin is secure in there.
That's just neat, Trey. You did well, as usual.
This is not going anywhere.
Outstanding.
Yeah, outstanding. I agree.
So
when's it going to be on the market? Yesterday.
So the idea is that the only thing that you need to do is to have this work is all you want to do is just figure out where is this surface going to be, where are these holes going to be, right? And if you make templates that have this hole on them, you can just position them. You can position them in a wing first. I'll just put them in a wing first. Then you can put this, assemble the whole thing. Just a second. You can assemble this guy, put this guy in a wing, right? Put the block in a wing, lock everything in, and now this is in position of fuselage, right?
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
So the idea is just has a little bit of planning before you do any of this stuff, right? So when you do your templates for your wing, you have the center line templates, right? The holes for the center line. You can use those center line holes to drill our top and bottom holes that's going to line this the pin in place, right? That's going to line this guy in place, right? And you can use that in a root template. You can make like a plywood rib over there, right? So now you have this hole that's very precisely placed. Now you can use this hole to glue the block in place, right? And my computer is not cooperating for some reason, but the block is there, right? Okay, I don't know why it's temperamental. So once you have this in place in your wing, then you can put this in place and tie it up to your main spar, tie it up to the upper sheeting and stuff like that. Maybe put a piece of carbon around it just to lock it in place. And now these guys are in a wing. And then the last thing you can do, you can you can set the length. You can set the length to this part here, right? And bolt them in, put them in a fuselage, lock the pin in place, and then you can tack them inside the fuselage already. These two spars, so they're nicely aligned with the wing and in position. And that's that. You know, pretty simple. Just if you can drill some holes precisely in a root rib on a wing and in a fuselage. Actually, in the fuselage, you can have clearance around everything because you don't care. You know, once you put in position, you can put a little piece of plywood over there that has a say a piece of a square plywood. I'd say that's going to go around this guy on the inside of the fuselage. And if you have clearance around the holes, who cares? You know. The idea is to have the same two holes on which you build your wing on rods, and it's used for you can put the same two holes that you have to build the wings on the rods. They are the same holes that you can put them on the side of the fuselage. So that a match set, right? And because it's a center line, you can easily drill them on the center line of the fuselage. And when you use the template to drill the holes in the root of the wing, you can use the same template for the fuselage as well. So,
like a winner to me.
If you wanted to, you could make the center out of wood instead of metal.
Yep. And how are you gonna thread this in a wood?
Yeah, you just put one of them
brass inserts.
Things. Yeah, inserts brass in there and glue it in place.
I'd rather have a piece of metal.
Nah, it's not gonna hold.
No, that's not gonna hold.
Why wouldn't it hold?
Pull in.
It's simply because it's the stress is in this direction. It wants to pull things apart and compress it, right?
I mean, on my old RC airplanes, that had take apart, and I got one downstairs. We held the wings in place with rubber bands. We had cup hooks.
Did you pull 15
We had
Gs with
cup
it on a
hooks
regular
that screwed
basis?
in on each side. We slid this wing in on pins, and then a cup hook held, you know, with one rubber band, because the wings don't come out like this.
Steve,
They don't.
did you pull 15 Gs on a regular basis with it?
Yeah, if you've seen some of the Lam Shavaks
I'm not buying it.
and a snap roll and stuff like that, it doesn't phase it. I mean, that was the way we did it for a long time. There's not that much force on that.
If you want to take the chance, take the chance.
You had a rod through that. You had a rod through the fuselage and in the wing on both sides too, didn't you?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this don't have that. That pin is the rod.
Right. And what I'm saying
So
is
it's
that
got
a threaded one of them things in a piece of wood. I dare you to thread one in and then put it in a vise and try to pull that out. You're not going to pull it out.
Steve, go ahead and do it.
I don't know. I used those inserts one time on an airplane, and the right rear mount pulled through the motor mount. It pulled out, and I said, "Then I'll never use these things again." Just anything can go wrong. Steve, it probably would work 99 times out of 100, but I'd be the one to have that 100. It would end up in a loud smack as the plane hit the ground. I'd rather have metal. It's not that much heavier.
Phil?
And it just go ahead.
It's actually much lighter.
But what I'm saying is that I could make one out of wood, but I ain't making one out of metal.
Phil,
yeah,
I have no way to make it out of metal, but I could make it
I'm
out
gonna
of
order.
wood.
I'm gonna order from Trayan. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's why I asked him when are them going to be for sale.
I don't know, but I want to sell.
But if you wanted to do it next week or next month or 6 months from now, are they going to be around to do it? It's a hell of an idea.
Well, I agree. I don't know when they're going to be available, but I want to set when they are. I might put those on the bike.
Oh, and by the way, this system can also work if you just use the lock pin. You could probably just put the lock pin on the end of like aluminum tubing, right? And thread the end of it, because there are some tubes out there, say 1/4-inch tube, and maybe not a good idea. But yeah, you can probably thread on, put an insert of aluminum insert on the end of the carbon fiber tubing, right? And use the lock to lock the elevator in place. So you are not using it as a stress transmission, but just to pull the elevator in position and lock it in position, right? Because the stress will be taken by the carbon fiber tube, like a tube inside of a tube kind of setup.
Hi, and there's a question in the chat box, and the question is, do you only need one on each side?
What?
The pins, you'd have 3.
You have, no, you need 3 on each side. So it's gonna be the blocks that go inside the fuselage is just 3 of them, right? But then you need 6 pins because they're on both ends. And the wing will just butt against the fuselage, which comes like this, right?
Exactly.
Flat and flat.
Yeah.
And the 3 you need are basically a top, a bottom, and what, trailing edge to keep it from swinging back and
near the
forth.
trailing edge,
Yeah.
You could probably even get away without the trailing edge, but the top bottom it's a must.
Yeah, trailing edge is iffy, but I like it. I like that better.
I like it too, because if the horn comes, if it flexes any, that horn's liable to walk out of the flap.
Yep.
And then you got a flap stuck in a weird position, and that can mess up your whole day.
Yeah, no happy endings there.
There comes your roll.
Yep. I like the 3. Trayan's system on his airplane is so clean and so quick and down and dirty. It's hard to wrap your head around it until you just really take it apart and look at it. And then it's so clean and easy that why did we not all think of this years ago? But
I don't know
it's
if you
just the way
guys
his mind
can see
works.
this,
He's slick. There you go.
but that's about the same concept out of wood,
Yeah.
but a screw instead of a cam lock.
Can I ask
You
a
got
dumb question?
2 in
Why do you
one.
have that thing upside down?
I don't know. I can do it this way.
There you go. I don't know what difference it makes, Steve, but my mind don't grasp upside down. That's
But
cool.
yeah, I mean, this is a built up, with plywood and stuff, and the bell crank goes through the center and everything is held in there. Then the wings went on and everything was leveled, and then the center part was glued in.
Is that the Sammy special?
Yeah. Yep. But
You're
that
gonna
was
refinish it, don't you?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm refinishing it, peeling trying to get all that damn automotive stuff clear off of it.
Well, that stuff's
But
hard.
yeah, I mean,
you can get through the clear, you can get through the color, but that clear is a monster.
Excuse me.
But yeah, I mean, the wing fits in there good. It sets up every time, and it's super light.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the whole system weighs, but on the wing, it's got
Yes, sir.
the male part. It goes in there, and then the screw just goes through and holds it in place. But everything is lined up and then glued in place. So it works. That worked pretty easy.
I'll tell you one thing. It's there.
The hardest thing is getting the you got to put the lead out wires on one at a time, and they're forked, and they got a bearing in them, because that's just a pain in the ass to do. But
yeah,
you don't do it that often, but yeah, so you put the inboard wing on first, drop the lead outs through, hook them up, and then put the outboard wing on. But yeah, I mean, it was light and it works good, and it goes every time you put it on, it's in the same place. But it's the same concept of Triumphs.
Yeah, same concept as Triumphs. He just two different ways of doing it, but it's the same basic thing.
Yeah, basically, if you could put if you put cam locks into these where the screws are at, it would do it the same way.
Yeah, what I was thinking, just to have a single screwdriver that does everything on a whole plane, basically, and just keep it simple.
Good idea.
Trying, was you thinking about advertising on the forum and seeing how many orders you can get and maybe have them pre-order? I know you're going to try to get some machinists, and you're going to have to pay for all that machining.
Yeah, that's the thing, let's see what happens, so if people are interested, we can work something out and see what's going on.
Yeah, I'm interested. I mean, I need to have a take apart plane to go back to the Nats. It'd be easier than shipping my plane.
And how?
Yeah, it's as you already know, my weapon of choice is not to take the rudder off and the elevator just bolted down on top of the back of the fuselage, stuff like that. I would rather have the elevator just coming, plug in, and that's it.
Yeah, that's the only difference we would have done on that airplane is have a plug-in elevator, because that's a bolt-on elevator. It works fine, but to do it the other way, we would have had to cut the nose off the fuselage and then make a mounting system for that. But
what?
Yeah, with everything on, it was too long for when you make the box.
Oh, because the fuselage is too long.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I guess. So that's why you pick up the rudder like that.
Yeah.
Just to
And
make
the
it a
other
little bit
part of
shorter.
it was really nice is that 2 screws took off the rudder and you could do all your adjustments on the tail really super easy. That was the only nice part of it. That if you wanted to change the travel up and down on that that Tom Morse thing, or screw the ball link, it was super easy to do. But once you get it all in trim, you don't change it anyway. So it was super easy for the first, I don't know, 10 flights when we were messing with it. And once we had it done, then you don't have to do it again. So
you don't mess with it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Then all the easiness is gone, you know?
Yeah. The problem I have with that, it's just so cumbersome to take apart and put back together, because you have to remove the control rod, you have to remove the tail, then remove the horizontal. It's a lot of stuff to remove. It's not like it's, you know, I mean, it takes the time. You only do it once in a contest or whatever, you know, but you know, sounds, you know, a lot of things that can go wrong then.
Well, what it is
anyways,
that we took it apart and put it together, figured out how it worked. It's been taken apart since then. We got it home. It's been taken apart twice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I go to contests that we fly in an airplane. And once even when we were there in France, once I put it together, I left it together like a normal airplane. I didn't take it apart every day. I mean, everybody had taken apart airplanes. They just left them together, put them in the car and take them back to the motel like you normally do.
Yeah, you just can't anticipate what kind of car you're gonna have. You can't anticipate, you know, what's gonna be the contest site, how much space you're gonna have in your room, whatever, you know. There, yeah. No big deal.
No, because I just rented the right size car.
Sure.
I got online, I checked out, you know, how wide they were and stuff like that. And they had the Nissan
so yeah, this
Marauder or whatever it was that fit. That's what I rented.
By the way, these locks are also good for, you know, for take apart the back of rear of the fuselage or a nose if you want to take apart. They would work great for that too.
Yeah.
Kind of the same analogy, right? The everything applies. And I think between the pin and the lock block and so the pin, the lock block, and the barrel that locks it in place as an assembly, I think weighs about 4 grams or so. Whatever goes in a fuselage can vary, obviously, but you're not looking at a great amount of weight that you're adding to the plane. I mean, you're talking take apart for the whole thing in a 1 ounce range or so, because they have 12 grams.
You know, if you normally drive a small car, you know, it'd be great if you could just take the wing off for hauling it around town or whatever. If you take the wing off, I mean, then you can usually stick it in your car fairly easy, like an RC airplane.
Yeah, there are all kinds of concepts, Steve. I mean, just all kinds of concepts. I mean, you probably have 100 people. They're gonna have 100 different ways of doing it.
Yeah, it depends on what you need and what you're doing.
I have some comments in the chat box. Mike Rigel says the only other design for a removable wing I've seen, the entire wing was one piece with the lower fuselage center section that was part of the wing. And
that's what I like.
That's
Like
what
an
I have.
impact.
That's what I have here. I have a
That's
couple
what
of
I
those
have.
here.
I have an impact like that.
Yeah,
it works.
The only problem with it is you got to take the pipe apart every time, or take the motor and all that. Well, you still got to take. Yeah.
And you have a whole wing to transport them.
I don't have a pipe on my airplanes anymore.
I don't know.
I think a plug I think a plug-in wing, especially for the biplane, is going to be the way to go.
I think so too, but I'm going electric, so I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
So if you have a plane that has a one wing piece wing, so you have to kind of build the center section and put it into the fuselage.
Well,
And then-
think about it this way, Charles. You got the wings in the middle of the fuselage, right?
Yeah.
All right, the fuselage is up here. The wing goes into it, and you still got that saddle at the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, you build that onto the wing,
Show us,
and then
Denny.
it all comes out together.
I can bring a wing over. I'll bring a wing. Hang on.
All right.
Yeah, Denny went to get one too.
and,
It's what they did. It's what we've done on RC for how many years?
At least 40.
And
'Cause I've
Free
flown them that
Flight was
long.
the same way. I mean, Free Flight didn't have plug-in wings. They had, removable wings.
So Denny, you're big now. I believe you are big. Yeah, you're big.
Yeah, he went.
That's
Is he back already?
Yep.
Let me find him here.
What plane is that?
All right, make him big.
Well, he's big on my
Take
screen.
your
Oh, I see
mute
you.
button off.
Whoever
Then
talks,
unmute.
whoever talks is who I see big.
Same here.
I'm gonna pin him.
No, I did pin Denny already.
Take
His
off your
mic's
mute,
on mute.
Dennis. Can you hear it? Yeah. See how easy that is? There we go.
All right. Do I still sound like an animal, by the way?
No,
you're fine.
But anyhow, I believe I didn't hear exactly who was on the chat was talking about it, but I think this is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fuselage that you normally you cut off the bottom of the fuselage, slide the wing in, and then glue the fuselage underneath it, and then finish it off, right?
Right.
Well, instead of gluing it together that way, you actually take the part that you cut out and you glue it to the bottom of the wing. Okay. Now I have, and it may be a little harder to see, 2 fasteners in front, 2 fasteners in back that bolt into the fuselage. I had them behind the wing so the fuselage can't snake back and forth.
Right.
Up and down. And then I do one more attachment. This one here is actually right next to the belt crank post, which is hard to see. This is the post that the belt crank is pivoting on, but there's a screw right next to it. Of course, obviously clears the belt crank. And it goes up, both the post and the belt crank screw go into a platform in the fuselage. Okay.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that, okay, I've got the fuselage held here and here to keep it from moving, but the fuselage is still at its thinnest, weakest point right through here. And by bolting it to the wing, it all connects back together. Plus, because it's right at the belt crank bolt, I got a hard point here and then bottom fuselage. When I go to full testing, I can hold the airplane by the fuselage with hard points in it. So I got, so I'm not pulling on a thin spot or something like that. I'm good for full test.
That's
Okay?
perfect.
It's a great idea, Dennis.
That is perfect.
And I'll tell you the other thing, if you're flying on an airplane and they charge you an extra $50, for your airplane, I already checked it out. You can get snowboard boxes. And you could slide the wing in one snowboard box and the fuse and everything in the other snowboard box. It would cost you an extra $50. But when you're spending $6,000 to fly someplace, $50 isn't nothing.
Doesn't mean much, does it?
No. And then see the tail comes off. So, I mean, it's just.
Bolts on, but I agree totally with Ryan. I would dearly love to have that plug in instead.
Yeah.
And actually, it makes it much simpler because I don't have a fin to worry about. But even in its previous iteration, the tail bolted on, I had a flat stab with twin fins on it, so I didn't want to bother with it. All right.
Makes
and then
sense.
I did actually make the rear of the fuselage here, but you can't really see it. There's a joint there for the fuselage to like remove the tail cone and access the control horns and stuff like that.
It's a neat airplane.
So
Yeah, I mean,
when I've done the take apart on the horizontal in the past, what
Thank
I've
you,
done,
Danny.
the elevator was a typical elevator that was built up, right? And you have that balsa center section.
Right.
So I took the balsa center section, I put it vertical on the drill press, and you can just put in a vise or something like that. So I have 3 parallel holes. You go 1, 2, 3, right? And through the forward and aft hole, you can just put a piece of tubing, right? And put a tubing through the center. So what I use the forward and aft hole to put a carbon fiber rod, right? And the center section was for a screw. They just pull the stuff together like this, right? And you build, after you drill the holes and you just put the tubing inside the center section, you build a stabilizer as normal, and you just lop it off 1, 2, 3 pieces, right? And you take the center piece, you glue it in a fuselage, right? And you can even cover with cover it with tissue paper, whatever you want to cover it with, right? And even paint it if you want to. And then you take the center section and put in the fuselage and glue it in place, right? And that's it. And then you just put you pull it apart, you put the rods, carbon fiber rods in between, and then they come together. Simple as that. All you need
I'm
is
out of
just.
here. I'll see y'all later.
All right, Eddie. Thank you, Eddie.
All right.
Easy, Eddie.
Good night,
Take
Eddie.
care, Eddie.
Sorry if I'm taking over this thing.
Oh, it's okay. It's interesting.
No.
Phenomenally interesting.
Train, anytime we're learning, we don't mind if you take over.
No.
Anybody that does is here for the wrong reason. I'm learning.
Yeah, that was pretty phenomenal. I look forward to it. And getting back to the chat box, Microgel says, I guess he's referring to this wing he's talking about. It was a Cobra 60 designed by Hank Dion.
Hank DeJong.
Dijon. And then he goes on to say, or maybe it was the Juno 60. I'm not sure if I remember.
It was Hank's plane was the first one I ever saw like that.
But this is the elevator we did.
Let me pin you.
And it's just got 3 holes in it. And it, mounts on.
Done just like the impact.
All right,
well, I mean, it was stuff that I could do that I already knew how to do. I already knew how to mount the tail in and stuff like that. And instead of gluing it in place, I screwed it in place.
Yeah.
But it was simple. It works.
Down and dirty and it works. That's always good.
Yeah, I think just about everybody uses the system.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it back in the 1990s with the Wendy's videos when he was doing just about any plane he was making back then. That was take apart. They all had the same system with the screws bolt in and tail that goes apart.
I mean, it was simple, and it works, and we don't take it apart that often. And that was when the other thing is that when I was carrying stuff, we actually put Chris Rudd's airplane in that car, and we took off the outside wings and the stab, and then we could stick 2 full-size pattern ships in that little Nissan. That was before because his wife got there late. So yeah, we could stick them in angled side by side, pull the tails off, and it was fine there for I think 3 days when we were first there, because his airplane comes apart the same way. But that was the most time we took anything apart, and it was just the one wing without the lead outs going through and stuff like that. But the plan was to have a wing like Dennis's, and we had talked about it, and it was a whole different airplane. I wish we would have did that one, It's down in the basement. Hopefully I can get Samantha over here to paint the fuselage and it's done. But we glued the wing in.
Yeah.
I mean, we were going to do it like Dennis did his.
Yeah.
And because that's why I had already checked out the snowboard boxes.
If
And
you
the
need
wing
a
will
little
fit
more
in
room,
fine.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
if
I
you
have,
need a little more room, the bicycle, they have a deal. There's a deal on the airlines about bicycle transport. And those boxes are quite a bit bigger. You can put 2 stunners in one of those boxes. The 2 stunners we put in there were classics, and they were take apart classics. But anyway, they're smaller than what you got there. Sammy Special understands like 56 inches. These were 48 and 52. But we put 2 of them in a bicycle box, and it cost me $50 to send it to Arizona. I don't know about to Europe. I've never taken a stunner to Europe. But
yeah,
there's a way.
I
Where
just
there's a will,
figured
there's a
that
way.
with the snowboarding box, the airlines give you a special deal on that stuff going to Europe.
You know
Because a
why?
lot of people bring skis and snowboards and stuff over there.
They get a kickback
And-
from the snow, from the Alps, whatever you call it, the snow places.
Yeah, I
Skiing
don't, I
places,
don't know
excuse me.
why, but it's a lot
There you go.
cheaper to take a bicycle or snowboard than it is a
A model
airplane.
airplane.
Yeah, and a lot cheaper. So that's why I was going to do the snowboarding boxes. And
How
the wing-
durable? How durable are these boxes?
Pretty darn durable.
Very
I put a
durable.
Oh
10
yeah, they're made out like that hard plastic stuff, and you
Okay. All right.
pop. And you can buy
they're
different,
vacuum formed.
yeah,
Okay.
vacuum formed,
All right.
and the tip comes off, and you could wrap it. They have foam and stuff in there. They cut for different boards and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it's got to be thick enough that it'll take the curve of the board. So
Yeah.
it's so wide,
Okay.
so high, so wide, so long. The snowboards are pretty long.
So what do? You
this
put your
any
wing in.
will fit in them.
So you put
Huh?
a wing in one box and your fuse in the other. Is that the deal?
Yep.
Okay.
And then it costs you $50 more, and
No problem.
and your money ahead, unless you're flying your airplane someplace 3 or 4 times a week. Then it would add up at an extra $50.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But
no,
once
that makes
every
sense.
2 years,
The only thing I worry about when I do that, and I put this is going to sound stupid, but I put a very expensive bicycle on one of those and went to go to a bike race. And I went to California. The bike went to Maine. They got it there 15 minutes before the bike race. And the guys were able to put it together for me. I mean, 3 different teams, guys opened this box up, put it together, and said, get your shorts on, get your shorts on. I'm getting dressed in the back of a van. I don't even know whose van it was. I got dressed right quick and got to the line, and we took off and rode. And I did some stupid things when I was younger. But anyway, when you're young and sponsored, you can do these things. But when you're living off your own nickel, you can't do it.
yeah, that's a chance. Anytime you put luggage of any kind on an airplane, where it's going.
Yeah.
Let me just say hi to Tom Ramel. Thanks for coming in. And Tom, I put John Paris's email address in the chat. He'd like to communicate with you regarding the tuts.
Yeah,
Okay.
he wants to get a tut. I was supposed to tell you, but you weren't on tonight.
His email's in the chat.
All right, thank you.
Our chat. Not
Okay.
Yeah, I want 2 of them, but you'll have to tell me when, because I can't get on Stunthangar right now. I don't know why, but I can't get in my chat. I can't get to the chat box. I was going to put my email on there last week for Dennis, and I couldn't get into it at all. And I still couldn't get into it today.
You're going to have to get a hold of Rusty. That's that same problem somebody else said tonight. I had it,
I'll call Sparky.
If you deal through Charles, he'll get you back in, but it costs you $50.
Charles is like that,
John, go ahead, John.
Okay, I got a question for Lynn. Did you get a PM today, Lynn?
I'll take a look and see. Hang on. I'll have to leave and come back in.
And
that's always a problem.
Mark Lumen says,
Phil.
"Hey guys, Did Lynn have another example? I don't know what that means, but I guess when he comes back,
Oh,
I'll ask him
yeah,
that.
like Dennis's airplane.
Oh, the take apart wing, I think.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Just talking about that. Yeah.
Phil,
How many of
did
you know what a
John Parrish
miles
get a hold of
22
you?
is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He sent me a
Okay.
text and I wrote him back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Oh, okay.
Kermit Payne, one of our guys, wanted a plans. So I thought he wanted plans to the Velvet. Evidently, what John wanted was a Velvet semi kit. So I told him, sure, I'll, I got in touch with him. He says, yeah, tell him yes, please. So we're gonna try to get him a
Yeah,
kit.
I
said, no.
I was going to tell you tonight. I gave you his phone number, but I figured you probably figured it out when he sent you the text.
Yeah, he sent me the text. And I got his phone number. I was going to call him, but last weekend didn't go exactly as planned. I was supposed to go to Atlanta, so I got the bright idea that I would take my wife out to lunch. And I got let's just say I didn't make it to Atlanta. I got sick as a dog. Of course, right now, anytime you get sick, if you get sick and you're throwing up, it don't matter. You're throwing up, you're running a temperature, the whole bit. Oh, he's got COVID. He's got COVID. COVID is respiratory. This wasn't respiratory. So I get home. They wanted me to stay down there. I said, I ain't staying in Georgia for 3-4 days. And I'm not even in Atlanta. No thanks. So I got in the truck and came home. I about had to sneak back to my truck and come home. Anyway, I came home and it was, according to the doctor, several people got sick there at lunch Friday. So anyway, I didn't have a great.
Are you eating dead animals again?
Yeah, I'm afraid it was. It was a dead chicken in a pie, and it didn't.
Yeah,
it didn't
there you
sit
go.
well.
You don't eat
Didn't
dead
sit well.
animals. You won't get salmonella stuff. What are you trying?
I can't handle it. I'm not a vegetarian.
Nope.
You know what the Indians? You know what the Indian word? You know what the Indian term is for a vegetarian? There's a term. They got a term, and you all heard it. If you don't, the Indians tell it anyway. Indian term for a vegetarian is poor hunter.
Yeah.
And they say the term for a vegan is it's even worse because the guy can't even turn out on fire.
Well, I got a daughter who's vegetarian, and I'm telling you what, she's turned me on to some really good dinners. So I'm not knocking it, but I can't do it. I'm a meat eater and I can't help it. I grew up on a farm.
Do any of you guys know what a miles 22 is?
The airplane?
Mm-hmm.
You mean miles
Okay,
20, don't you?
No, 22. I think
Okay.
it's 22, the twin.
Oh,
There was only two of them built.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
They're prototypes. For a
I've
twin
seen a picture of one. Yeah.
Look at little thing.
Yeah.
Has elliptical wing and tail. Kind of Spitfire-ish looking around the canopy area, but it's more like a it's more like my Panzerflug. The fuselage comes to an end right at the leading edge of the wing. Two Allison V12s, or not Allison, Rolls-Royce V12s, coming, twin props, twin engines, all of it. I broke down. I started laying out the wings for that on the computer.
Oh, brother, I thought it had twin Griffins in it because it was counter rotating props. Probably not. Yeah, I'm sure you're right, John. I just assumed when I saw the exhaust pipes and I saw this twin screw.
I'm going from a rather how to put it.
Might have been
memory.
It might have been Peregrine's, not Merlin's.
Yeah,
that could have been.
Peregrine was the 2/3 scale size Merlin. They did some really neat airplanes around that. Before the horsepower wars took over.
I can't figure out.
I was thinking Miles M20 because Alan Brickhouse and I were talking about that. That was on Alan's to-do list. The M20 was supposed to be a low investment fighter that they were, during the Battle of Britain, they didn't have enough Spitfires and Hurricanes, and they come up with this other airplane that was, fixed gear, and it actually performed really well. But by the time they got it all sorted out, they actually had the production lines going pretty well for Fitz and Hurricanes. And they just kept on queue. But,
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't build a 22 because I think it was kind of a not, I don't know if you could call it a heavy fighter. The Brits never really did have a real heavy fighter until much later in the war. But it was they had a proposal for a round thing to fit where the nose would be, and it had like 10 machine guns in that thing.
Good grief.
All on center line, but they're 303s, you know.
Oh, okay. 1050s are playing it back up.
Yeah. But I'll see if I can find a 3-view of that thing.
Holy mackerel.
Hey, Tryon, Mark Lemon says amazing work, my friend, regarding your take apart hardware.
That is amazing training, and I'm still in awe of your computer prowess. I'm telling you. I can't. I'm scared to try to share something, and you guys put on a show like that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's very impressive, no doubt.
I appreciate that. Yeah, the take apart.
Are you taking off, Ed?
No, I got a question for Tryon.
Yeah, the take apart on my plane, I can put it together and take it apart in like 3 minutes. That's including inserting the batteries.
I've seen him do it.
Mm-hmm. He did it live on a show about a year ago.
Yeah, that's where I saw it, I think. Yeah.
Go ahead, Ed. Ask away. Try and answer the question.
John and I were talking earlier about the Kevlar cord, and he said you might know, as far as terminating ends for lead outs.
You could probably terminate it the same way you do terminate anything else.
Steel lines. Terminate the same way you steel.
Just loop it around. Just wrap it around. Flip it back forward. You just wrap it around, and you should be fine. Okay. You give it a couple of drops of CA in there. It's not going to hurt anything.
Okay.
And
we did.
If you have shrink tubing
or anything, I don't need to wrap it or anything.
Wrap.
Like with the cable lead outs with copper, with eyelet and the copper, something like that.
No,
you don't need any of that.
Okay.
You don't need any.
You can do that double surgeon's knot that Mike was telling us about, and I did mine on eyelets, and then CA'd the heck out of it.
Okay.
And our idea was to take a single, one line out in the backyard, and somebody get on one end and somebody else get on the other, and we put two small, like a meat hook in it, where we could just pull it 65-pound test line and pull it and see would the knots hold up, would the wire, I forgot the name of that line, but anyway, would that hold up? The eyelet bent, but the line stayed fine. And he's as big as I am. I'm 227 pounds. I was pulling it with everything I had, and he's pulling. We're trying to pull each other off our feet, and the eyelets malformed a little bit, but everything else held. So I don't know. Now,
do you actually need
10
the
years,
eyelet? Do you actually need the eyelet?
I don't know. I used the eyelet just so I'd have it. I mean, I just wanted to make as much of it like I was used to as I could. But I don't. Oh gosh, that's pretty. Wow. But
that is kind of pretty.
But anyway, these new lines I think are going to work really nice.
Nice.
That is impressive, John.
Yeah, that's Miles 22. It is Rolls-Royce Griffin engines.
Okay.
That is pretty.
That is pretty. The Americans had something very similar to that. I don't remember what they called it, but Al Raby did a model of it. He was going to have two OS-35Ss in it, but he never did quite get the counter-rotating system figured out. I mean, one was going to spin one way and one was going to spin the other. I don't think he ever finished.
Jack Sheets made a model of it. It's the Grumman. There's a Grumman design. They actually
Grumman Skyrocket. That was one of them.
Yeah, Skyrocket.
Yeah, Al Reed did the Haviland Sea Hornet.
Yeah, that's it.
The Sea Hornet was like a mosquito that was raised on health food. So
yeah,
this was designed in 1939.
Wow.
and they made 2 prototypes. So it actually
And
could
then
be flown
and then
in a
didn't
scale
build it. Goodness.
But it, I think it'd make a real nice control line stunner.
I believe it would too.
Looks nice.
Let me finish the biplane first, John, then I'm going.
I know I should be finishing. I don't know why I started on this. I need to do some finishing up on the biplane myself.
Well, I got to looking at that biplane and I got the brilliant idea to hang the plans up on the wall.
Yeah.
I went downstairs the other night and I had 2 hours to go downstairs. I got downstairs and I thought I'd been down there 5 minutes. My wife's telling me your 2 hours is up. Oh crap. I didn't do anything. I just looked at those plans. That is an impressive set of plans.
Thank you.
But that right there, that could be a very interesting project.
Yeah, you
those
notice
things on
the fuselage section. I don't think it's as round as it looks there, but it's more oval shape.
Yeah.
And that could be formed. You'd really make this thing pretty light.
I'd probably do it like a Gillis kit and then sheet it.
Think so? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, I'd probably end up molding it to sheet it. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I would have an internal structure in it. But those things on the rudder, that's what I'm looking at. That's wild looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wicked looking.
Yeah,
I like that. That's cool.
Well,
And
anyway,
look at the size of those motors. Golly.
Well,
look at
you
all
got to
those
realize
machine
this is
guns.
before we had the P-38. You know, I think.
Oh my God, they're on there. The
What?
machine guns are showing.
Yeah, but these are in line. This one had a canister kind of thing that was out here, a round thing. And there was 10 machine guns in there, set in there. And I mean, the thing about, the thing that made the P-38 so good as a gun platform, where it had 650 calibers in the nose, all all lined up. Everything was line of fire. Where you pointed it, that's where the bullets went.
Yeah.
And that's
my
what
dad. My dad was on a B-17 crew. He was a radio operator, but he had a friend that was a 38 pilot. And he said the thing about that airplane that always buffaloed him, they would come out and land. When a B-17 landed, it had 4 engines. And they'd come out and put about 60 gallons of oil in the whole airplane. But that 60 gallons of oil after one flight. The P-38 would come in and land, and they put 50 gallons in each motor.
Yeah.
Those turbocharged motors made it just burn some oil.
I bet they did.
What an impressive airplane, though.
But I'm working
Daddy liked
on
both those airplanes, but he was a flying wing man at heart.
I'm working on this wing with Warren Truss and the elliptical wing platform, and it's just so much fun to do. and I've got the right program to do it with. So
I don't know when or if I'll ever get around to it, but you get those finished, I want a set. I'll even buy a set of those.
Well, you can always
cool.
just put a frame around them and hang them on the wall.
Yeah, that's sharp. That is just a wicked looking airplane.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't build it.
I don't either. I mean, they built some of the ugliest planes ever designed, and they flew, but there were some of the ugliest things ever designed. And then they had the Spitfire. But then to find out that they had something like this and didn't build it. Now, what sense does that make?
Well, yeah, and the thing is, this was like the Mosquito. This is plywood sheeting and everything else on it because they were trying to save war production materials and things like that. So it's one of those things. I'd say at least they made 2 of them. So actually, in a scale contest, you can enter one in scale because it was built and flown.
I wondered,
it doesn't look like it even has retracts.
It did. It retracted back into the nacelles underneath here.
I wonder if they saved one of them.
Because
I got interested.
It's like the flying wing bombers we had. I remember as a kid going by an airfield in Ontario, California, right off the freeway.
Yeah.
And they were like, All of them that was ever built was sitting there, including the jet powered one. And they junked them all out. They didn't save one for a museum or anything.
No, they crushed them. I
Yep.
mean, chopped them up. My
Yep.
dad worked on that project and absolutely loved that that airplane. I've got pilot's manuals here that my dad had on the XB-35, 49, and 49A, and they say top secret on them. Dad, I saw them, but I was never allowed to read them until my dad died in '68. That would do it.
Huh. Well,
I'm amazed that some of that stuff was allowed to even get out, but I was always tickled. I love that airplane. Huh?
It probably wasn't supposed to get out.
Oh, it probably wasn't supposed to, but Dad was a master sergeant and he was a mess. But like I say, he never let any of us look at it until after he died. So it was long since all destroyed. But there was a story of one that was in Kansas that had been landed in a farmer's field, and the kudzu had taken it over, and it'd been 30 years or so. And the farmer got in touch. The farmer sold his farm, and the guy who bought the farm went out and told the government, "Hey, there's one of these planes out here. I mean, I've heard that you want one for the museum." So they came out, and he thought they were going to take this XB-35 apart and take it to the museum. They came out with bulldozers and destroyed it. That was in the late 50s. Yeah, late 50s.
Wow.
So the government never ceases to amaze me how stupid they can be.
Wow.
Go ahead, Charles.
Well, anyways, you guys, I want to transition to the after party, but tonight was a stellar night. We had 17 of us in
look
here.
at that.
We did really good, and we had almost 30 people out there watching us for their first viewers. So we had a pretty good show. We didn't have any chat revenue to speak of, and no new members, but we had 16 likes. So if you are watching this as a replay, when it's replaying, please hit the like button, get the likes up, and we'll come back Friday. So go out there and have some fun and tell us all about it, and come back and tell us Friday. So until then, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
What do you think of that,
John?
Bill?
John?